And I should ask you, have you seen Black Adam?
I have.
Oh, Black Adam, bam, blam. Say, oh, Black Adam, bam, blam. Black Adam had a child, bam, blam. To them thing go wild, bam, blam. I was so. I will say, I was waiting for that needle drop because if there's one thing about that movie, I was like going, they are loving a needle drop, and at some point, I'm like, are they going to do something like Black Betty? I'm very glad they didn't.
That would have been cool.
Well, I mean, no. What was your take on it? I'll ask you first. What was your take?
I'm kind of in agreement with like this. This was these seemed to be the general consensus before I went in. It was like, oh, I really enjoyed it, or either it's like it's terrible, but I loved it, or it's not that great, but I had a lot of fun. Like it's the
I'm
the
kind
this
of
and that kind of thing.
Yeah, if that's where you're landing, it's kind of where I'm landing. I said because John and I, my friend, we podcast together. We went to go see it together. He liked it more than I did. He is always the more forgiving. I mean, he has an enthusiasm, and enthusiasm is usually going to trump the nitpicks like I have. But I still sat there and I enjoyed it. And I said, this is one of the upper tier DC EU movies, but that is still below almost any Marvel movie. I did enjoy it. And at the end of it, I was like going, why can't these be smarter? It really is. It boils down to like budget. I'm not even going to jump on that. Like just like when I saw Shazam and I was like, this could have been really good, but there's dumb writing in it. And the monsters, the seven deadly sins of man that he fights in that movie, they all are just like big CG video game bosses. And then we get to this movie and it has Sabak. And if you had told me a million years ago there was going to be a big budget Black Adam movie and the villain would be Sabak, these characters, I mean, they go back to the 40s and almost no one cares about them except for us nerds. Jeff Johns did a lot with Black Adam when he did JSA years ago, and that's why Black Adam is so high in the echelon of and the casting's great. Come on, Dwayne Johnson. But so that was mind blowing. But when they get to Sabak, I'm like, oh, geez, he does. He looks like a video game boss again. So anyway, I was going to say, I'm not really, that didn't upset me because it's like, okay, they don't have that crazy Disney money that Marvel has. But writing, I mean, I know it costs, but you can find probably for the same amount you spent smarter writers.
Yes.
There were so many cheesy bits. I was like, no, this is awful, and repetitive dialogue and dumb jokes, and they're trying to push these new characters, all of whom I know and like from the comics, and I'm like,
even that there was a couple of jokes I thought that were actually could have been funny had it actually been executed well. There was a little bit of a Guardians of the Galaxy type humor, a little bit of Marvel humor they were trying to throw in there, like when he was trying to time his catchphrases at the right time before he kills people.
Yes.
That would have been great if it was somebody like Drax, who by the way, I think he's trying to emulate Dave Bautista in his performance. He is not Dave Bautista. I'm sorry.
He's not.
He can't do it. He's just the entirety of this. I'm jumping ahead. To Dwayne Johnson's acting skills, which are very minimal. He's trying to play this character as a stoic guy who's emotionally damaged, but it just amounts to him floating around and staring at things. It's basically all he does. There's no physicality in his performance.
It's very true. I have a higher opinion of his acting skills, but I think one of the things that's key to him as a presence is he's great at charming roles. Like, in other words, he is enormous, obviously, but the whole thing to his persona that works when he's given it, he can be quite funny and charming. And that's a thing. As far as him being the glowering badass, even when he was a wrestler, which was very showy when he's like, I'm going to destroy him. It's always with this wink. So here he is, as you say, he's trying to play a character who is so serious and a man out of time. So that's the whole thing. Like, Drax is not human and he is completely literal minded. And that's a great thing with the characters around him. And James Gunn knows how to use that. And it's great. But here, Dwayne Johnson's like, okay, well, you understand what's going on, you ancient Egyptian guy. You just got no time for humor or sarcasm. And you're like, yes, that's exactly right. So, yeah, or doors. So you're just, as you say, a glowering big old chunk. And he's a big old chunk. But
yeah.
but parts of it kind of worked. And Pierce Brosnan, what I ended up thinking is I would take the exact same cast, because even the new young actors they're trying to shove down our throats, I'm like going, you guys deserve better, because I can tell you're both good, but they're not giving you good stuff. And I liked the Andrea character, who I know from the comics is actually Isis.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I would love to see that. But anyway, so they all deserve better. I would say Hawkman was a miscast. He's the one guy I thought was really miscast. And it has nothing to do with ethnicity. It just had to do with the way he's doing that character. It's almost like they encouraged him. It's like, you have to be the one that is the badass to stand up to him. So he's basically going around like going, let's go.
Yeah.
It's like, don't mess with me. And I'm like, I mean, Hawkman was always kind of one of the badasses of the Justice League, but I'm just sitting there going, all the weight in those great scenes between Dr. Fate and Hawkman lands on Pierce Brosnan because he's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to feel that connection because they've known each other through various lifetimes. They are both reincarnated dudes. So every time it's like, I hate to say goodbye to you, my friend, and we're old pals. I'm like going, buy it from you, Pierce, not buying it from this guy who, no offense to him, I just don't think he was.
Yeah.
Plus, I hated the wings on his helmet. That's how nitpicky I'm like. Those wings were too freaking big. No comics artist has ever drawn them that fucking big.
I know. I found myself thinking that during the movie. I was like, the costume looks cool, but that helmet is a bit much.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, it kept distracting me. And I'm not even that, I don't know that much about Hawkman,
These
I was
are
thinking,
the things
I had to go back and I had to go back and read about it afterwards, because I thought he was from Thanagar. And they never mentioned that. I was like, oh, there's two different versions of, okay.
Well, yeah, there's two different versions, and the current version is sort of Jeff Johns, who I mentioned before, for those who aren't aware at home, was one of the big writers at DC for quite a while. Then he was so successful they bumped him up to sort of like creative director of DC for a long time. And then because he had started with Richard Donner, like as like assistant or whatever, and he knew the film industry, they bounced him over to DC movies, to the Warner Brothers stuff, as the creative controller of the DC films. Those films did not do so well. This is all the Zack Snyder stuff, or not as well as they wanted to. So Jeff Johns lost that gig. I think he's really just back to writing comics. That may be not entirely true. He's brilliant. One of the things that made his name was he's a huge continuity buff, knows all that stuff, and is able to, doesn't matter how complicated a character, because Hawkman's very complicated. He was able to combine stuff, work out time disparages and continuity errors, and then make it all work somehow. He brought back Barry Allen. Because Barry Allen, the Flash, died in Crisis on Infinite Earths back in 1985. He brought him back in a very well done way. He also redeemed Hal Jordan, classic Green Lantern, because in the 90s they decided that Hal was going to lose his mind and become a bad guy to make way for the new Green Lantern. Well, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And but he was able to come up with a brilliant solution on how to explain the villain period and resurrect that character in a good way and keep Kyle Rayner, the newer Green Lantern. So in other words, he's a problem fixer. And Hawkman was so complicated because you had the Golden Age dude who was a reincarnated Egyptian pharaoh and was an archaeologist in the modern day, as in the 1940s. And then you had Qatar Hall, which was just the reboot, who was an alien dude from Thanagar. alien police officer. I love Silver Age comics or batshit. I've got hawk wings and a hawk helmet, but I'm a cop from another planet. Have you seen my spaceship? It looks like a big yellow arrow. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Here's my wife. She also has wings. Anyway,
tell me more.
By the way, that should be a that should be a t-shirt for our podcast. Here's my wife. She also has wings. So that's the and so the version they have now is what Jeff Johns did, which was a sort of cumulative blending of all those complicated histories. And it all works in the comics. And here I wasn't expecting any of that. I didn't expect they were going to bring up, I wanted to see or have them mention Shiera, who's his wife. Like Hawkwoman's a big part. I'm like, where is she? John was there. I pounded my little fists. Where is she? And then the people at the nice Regal Cinema people asked me to leave. No, sir, we tried to tell you there's no Hawkwoman in this film. I'm not happy.
Would you please leave?
Would you please leave? Anyway, so all that aside, I generally liked what they tried to do, but all those people, like I said, deserve better writing.
Yeah.
And the whole point of it is, it's okay. And then we get to the mid-credits button, which had already been spoiled. Weeks ago, people were going, Cavill's going to be Superman, and the I was like, what?
Yeah.
And there he was. So in other words, there was no surprise for me. And also, did I think it was well scripted? No, because I'm sitting there just like with the movie. Please explain why Amanda Waller is being all like, you can't leave, Kondak. We're going to keep our eye on you. Don't mess with me. I'm Amanda Waller. That's very Amanda Waller. But I'm like, what did he do that the U.S. government's like, don't leave your country? He put down an evil creature and saved everybody. Other than the fact that he was released from her prison, is there any reason why the U.S. government would be like, you are not allowed to leave Kondak?
Yeah.
And he's like, you got nobody powerful enough to stop me. She goes, oh, I know one or two people. Boom. Mm-hmm. Henry Cavill with a spit curl.
Spit curl and the John Williams score,
John Williams score, brighter colors.
At least a few notes of it. Yeah, brighter colors.
I was like, oh, they're listening to some of us. But again, John can attest to this. I did not actually pound my little fist going, where is she? But when he shows up and he's just like, he comes down, he floats down, and he's in shadow walking forward, I was muttering like going, red shorts. Where are the red shorts? Are there red shorts? Are there red shorts there? I actually did that, and I am embarrassed. And John was like, God damn it. But
was there? I don't remember.
No, they don't show. They don't show from down. Because as he walks forward, the camera moves up. So you never see from below the waist. He might not even been wearing pants, Chad. He's like going, Black Adam, we need to talk about this. Have you seen my pants? Yeah.